An hour before sunrise, a team of volunteers wanders the streets of downtown Chicago.
We concentrate our efforts on the mornings because the morning is the time when the majority of the birds are coming down.
They're looking for birds that collided with buildings.
This is a white-breasted nuthatch. Really pretty little bird. Wow.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And he is dead. I mean, he's stiff. His eyes have sunken, so this is a fatality.
For Annette Prince and the other volunteers, this search for birds is a race against the clock.
Because a lot of these birds are injured and need just some time to recover.
Right.
And if we can get them safe before they get stepped on or run over or grabbed by a predator like a gull or a crow, we're protecting them from further injury. You have to look inside of revolving doors. The birds sometimes go in there because it looks like a safe refuge. It could be a bird there, or a leaf. It's a bird.
It's a bird.
There he is.
Oh, wow, yes.
There he is. He's a hermit thrush. So this little guy is flying down to Central and South America, but hopefully he's going to make it.
The injured birds are put in breathable paper bags, then rushed to a rehabilitation center. We'll catch up with them in a few minutes.
A good majority of the birds that we find injured get released. But we had a big peak last week where the first really large pulse of birds came through, and we picked up hundreds of birds. We started at 6 in the morning and we rescued birds for 12 hours. So these are birds just from several weekends. This is a flicker, one of the larger woodpeckers that we find.
There's a reason why so many migrating birds are being waylaid in Chicago. The city is on a major migration route known as the Mississippi Flyway. And it's at the edge of a huge body of water where birds tend to migrate.
So it's a dangerous place for these birds. They're just tourists. They're just coming through. They live up in Canada in the summertime, and they live down in the rainforests in the winter.
Right.
And this is just a place they're passing through.
To figure out what we can do to make our cities safer for migrating birds, first we need to understand what's so dangerous about these buildings in the first place.
So the buildings with the greatest concern would be those that have more glass. Birds that live in the city, like pigeons and sparrows, learn where the windows are because they're used to being raised where there's glass and they know buildings, whereas these birds are not familiar with buildings. The glass that's more reflective and mirror-like confuses birds because they see sky, they see plants, they see an open area that they think they can fly towards. And I've seen birds just fly towards what they think is sky, and they hit that part of the glass that's blue, and they bounce off of it, and they still turn around and they try it again.
But highly transparent glass can also be dangerous.
A bird that's out here in the dark or looking for a safe place sees those trees inside, and it looks like a great place to go. They really don't understand that there's an invisible barrier there. Even I think I could probably put my hand through
Yeah,
that.
it looks like a little park inside.
Of all the bird-killing buildings in Chicago, one is notorious among naturalists.
Most of these birds are from McCormick Place.
When volunteers collect dead birds, they send them here to the Field Museum.
This is a McCormick Place bird, a male.
Many of these birds were found in the same spot,
Again, a lot of them are McCormick Place birds.
the city's Lakefront Convention Center.
Overall at McCormick Place, we've had around 35,000 birds. It's badly located. It's right on the lakefront.
But when researchers at the field studied these specimens, they discovered another factor that made the building deadly.
There were fewer birds on days when the lights were off at McCormick Place.
Lights were drawing birds into contact with the convention center. It's a problem we witnessed before sunrise at another building.
That was a yellow-bellied sapsucker, which is a migratory woodpecker that's just passing through here as they do every spring and fall. That demonstrates how birds are just so terribly attracted to lighting. They navigate by the stars and the moon and bright lights, throw their navigation off or confuse them, and the lights that are on the top of buildings are just drawing birds out of their migratory path in the sky to come down.
But now there's a common sense solution, a program called Lights Out Chicago. In an effort to save birds, building owners and managers kill the lights during migration season.
In theory, if you go out tonight and look downtown about 11 o'clock, all the ornamental lighting should be going off on the skyscrapers.
And then we have to figure out, what's solid, what's glass.
Other solutions to Chicago's bird collision problem are coming from the city's architects.
As humans, we want glass in our buildings because we want to see outside, but at the same time, the glass poses this hazard. So, I think there's a number of strategies now that we can start to employ. One is to have this kind of what's called visual noise, which is so, like with the Aqua Tower, when you see that building, you see balconies that stick out and they create a pattern, a solid object there. So it makes it visible for birds.
Another way to help migrating birds is to build safe places for them to rest and refuel. Not too long ago, Northerly Island was home to an airport. $10 million later, it's a landing strip of a different sort.
Northerly Island is all about providing things that birds need, so the plantings are specifically chosen to be high caloric content for the birds that need that because they're flying so far and stopping over.
And it seems to be drawing birds away from nearby McCormick Place.
Birds are looking down, seeing Northerly Island as the best spot to land and going there instead of crashing into the building.
At 10 in the morning, many hours after starting her day, Annette arrives at the Willowbrook Wildlife Center with 10 injured birds.
So when birds come in, they are originally brought out to our flight testing area. The first thing we're going to do with them is we give them a flight test to see if they are okay. Many of times these birds are truly just stunned. They've smacked their head, they need a little bit of time to recuperate from it, and then they're ready to go. See, there is a little bit of heavy breathing there, but that's only to be expected because it's a scary situation for them. So when we open up the bag and let them out, what we hope to see is a bird that's flying around really well, goes back and forth in this cage a few times, perches appropriately, and doesn't seem winded. If we don't see that, then the animal's going to stay here at Willowbrook and be admitted for treatment. Some of the common injuries we do see include wing injuries. Other times they can fly, but they're just not as active as we'd like to see them before release. And so they may just need another day or two of some rest before we do assess them again for release.
When the birds are ready, they're set free at a suburban forest preserve where they resume their long journey. Their collision with the Chicago skyscraper was just a brief hiccup in their travel plans. But as many as 1 billion birds a year in America are not so lucky.
When you think about it, buildings have been here, tall buildings and glass and lights, less than 100 years, whereas these birds have traveled north and south for thousands and thousands of years. So it's like in the blink of an eye of their evolutionary life, all of a sudden there's these obstacles that we've erected, and some of these birds are dying in such large numbers they may never adapt before it's too late for them.
Yeah.
Many of them are losing habitat. Rainforests are going down, woods are being cut down up in Canada, and they can ill afford more losses to their species.
Urban Nature is made possible in part by the following: